Okay, we're back with another video, and it's probably going to be really rambly and all over the place, but that's what we're here for. It's what it's all about. So essentially, this video is just going to cover a topic that I've been thinking about for some time now, and that's essentially going to be this pay on satisfaction model in your agency, right? Now, there's a lot of other guarantees and value propositions that get thrown around, like pay per client, pay per lead. You don't pay until you see results, so, just to name a few. But like those are all very easy to quantify, right? So that's the main difference. So pay per lead, it's a tangible number. You get 5 leads in the door. And if you guarantee 2 leads, you're exceeding. And obviously, if you guarantee 5 leads and you only bring in 2 leads, then there's like a discrepancy there, right? So it's very easy to quantify, and it's something tangible for the clients that like your agency is servicing to wrap their head around, right? So when you're on a call and you offer them that, or you say that in like, I don't know, your Loom video you're sending, or on a cold call, it's very easy to get, and the client can just instantly like attach to it and be like, oh, great. Well, what about pay on satisfaction, right? I put a question mark here because that's really what it is. It's just a big question mark. It's kind of hard to define. There's not a really easy way to quantify it in this system that we're talking about, right? Because it's so subjective, person to person. Now, I've been thinking just a lot about it, and I just threw together this like really quick Miro. So yeah, let's get right into it. So, I mean, how do we quantify satisfaction, right? What we were just talking about. Now, you'll see in a sec. I mean, it's not like game changing or anything, but this is just something that you have to clarify with your clients beforehand when you're on like that initial discovery call and you're first talking to them. This is so crucial to actually make sure that the expectations are set for you and you have the journey steps here. Discovery, right? So you have to so this is the biggest thing, right? You have to put yourself in the client's shoes and actually like hop into their brain for a second and think like, why are they doing this in the first place? Why would someone work with me? What are the reasons? What have I shown to them? What have I guaranteed them or told them? How can they trust me, right? So why did they even start the journey? Clearly, you have promised something, right? So ideally, they're putting their faith in your claim and your conviction that you gave to them, right? Like, obviously, Jordan Belfort said, like, sales is just a transfer of emotion. I mean, that guy, who knows about that guy? But yeah, he did say that. So, and I think it's very true. Now, obviously, then you have the transition period between that kind of like cold lead and them slowly turning into a warm lead and then them becoming a client. There's that like gray area, that transition period. So what prompted them to follow through? Were you quick at sending them another email? Did you follow up correctly? Were you super respectful and didn't waste their time when you sent them the emails? And obviously, goes without being said, but clients register and sign up when they believe in your ability to meet their needs effectively. So they're putting a lot of trust in you in this process. And then obviously onboarding, how can they feel successful? So next row here, actions. What does the customer expect? So in the discovery period, you obviously are promising them something. And in the case of providing AI solutions and time-saving solutions, certain automations, that's just a huge time savings is the biggest and most important aspect of it, in my opinion. You're saving them so much time. It's less manual work. We're letting the computers do the work here. And this is something that not a lot of businesses are optimizing for, right? And obviously, they started the journey because you promised them something. Now, in the case of my agency, our main kind of solution that we wrap our offer around is time savings. So for our clients, we save them generally like 10 plus hours per week, sometimes a little bit less, but normally between 6 and 10, right? So that is something that we can stand behind, and that's something that we offer them. And we have a lot of conviction in that offer. And our clients feel that when we're talking to them. There's less manual work and it's scalable, right? Of course, they can hire another person to answer the phone and answer emails and respond and follow up and whatnot. But there's just no need when the machine can scale infinitely and exponentially, right? And people are it's a very linear graph with people. You need more people to answer more calls. And if somebody answers 1,000 calls in a day, they're going to burn out and it's just pointless, right? So there's that part in the actions. This is why they started the journey. And you have to come up with these yourself, obviously, but you have to define them very, very clearly with the client, right? Now, in this transition period, right, you've built trust with your offer. They believe in you. They've put faith in you to meet their goal and fix their problem. They trust you at this point. This is the biggest thing. This is huge. And now this is the part where you really have to take a step back and think, why am I doing this? Like, what are the pain points and the problems I'm actually solving? Now, like Liam Otley said it, or no, Liam Evans. There's too many Liams in the AI space, but Liam Evans was like, you can't just go into it blind and sell chatbots and sell services and do these kinds of things. You have to figure out what they actually need, because it's pointless if you're doing a copy and paste solution business to business, because as we all know, no two businesses are directly proportional. They aren't the same, right? So they trust you and you have to deliver with a unique solution. This is so huge, right? So the second part of this is like promising the moon. This is obviously a very common thing. People think too micro with this kind of with these agencies and these timelines. They have to think more macro. So people think within small timelines, 24 hours, a day, like a week maybe if they're lucky. But obviously it's the month, 2 months, 3 months to a year. That's the timeline that really matters. Like it's a marathon, right? So if you promise the moon, oftentimes the bar will be set too high and it'll just be too hard for you and your team to deliver on what you promised a lot of the time. And it's just like a pitfall that I see with a lot of agencies. Now, you have to set the bar reasonably, right? No client needs to be blown out of the water immediately, right? You can always ramp up your service delivery and provide them more comprehensive and more advanced solutions as you move. This is just something that we have to get so clear from the gate. Like you have to just set the bar, not low. Like you don't want to like disappoint your clients with your services and they go, why I don't need this. It's not that cool. You want to make an intricate system for them, but the bar has to be set very reasonably and ideally slightly less than what you think you can achieve. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver than overpromise and underdeliver. And then the other thing is that like aids in the transition and can really help. It's good social proof. Now, obviously, I'm trying to build that through these videos, and many other people are much further ahead in their journey. But this is so crucial, and making these videos is just so beneficial for like agencies and people to get going. And this aids in the transition process and can cut out a lot of doubt that the client has about you if they see tangible examples of you like online, sharing knowledge, helping people, right? And then onboarding. So ideally, you have an onboarding video, you make it professional, you have a questionnaire form, it's just seamless, it's smooth. The last thing you want is for you to send out a form or an email or a video to a client and have them respond going like, oh, like I didn't get this part. Can you like explain this more? You need it to be so simple that like a 10-year-old could do it, right? You have to keep it very, very baseline for your clients to actually feel successful in this onboarding process. But of course, that goes like, of course, you ideally want to avoid the back and forth emails in the onboarding and keep it smooth. It's like the classic saying, right? I forget who said it. Maybe it was Steve Jobs. He was like, I wrote a longer email because I didn't have enough time, right? So that is just a quick kind of metaphor to essentially say that making something more succinct and compact takes far longer than getting all your thoughts out onto a page and figuring stuff out from there, right? So ideally, it needs to be just so compact and very concise and straight to the point, guiding your client effectively through this onboarding. But of course, if they do get lost, they need to be able to find you somehow, right? The last thing you want is for your clients to be texting you at 3 a.m, asking, what do I do here? And just blowing up your phone. You need to set clear guidelines and kind of like rules and regulations on how they need to contact you, where that message needs to come from. It doesn't necessarily have to be within business hours, but you need one clear channel. You don't want an email and a text and a phone call all at once. And then obviously this I just kind of threw in here. I'm not sure why, but like ideally you provide more comprehensive solutions to them as your business client relationship kind of like blossoms and keeps going, right? I don't know why I threw that in actually, but so then obviously the next part in this discovery, the next row is the needs and pains. What does the customer want to achieve, right? So for us, our offer is wrapped in time savings mainly right now. So working in versus on the business, a lot of people get trapped, especially like teams of kind of 10 or less, 15 or less. Then the owner and the lead will sometimes get trapped in the business doing like more complex tasks because they don't necessarily feel like they can like offload that onto somebody else yet. But delegation and automation are the things that will actually help their business scale. And it's our job as agency owners to like understand that and actually help them understand that and teach them along the way, right? And then of course, increase support for the business's clients. So the agency or the business that you are servicing with your automations and your AI solutions, ideally their clients are supported 50 times, 100 times more than they were. Like you don't just want to cover, like if somebody can answer one phone call every 3 minutes, ideally this bot could respond to 100 messages every 3 minutes. You want it to be exponential. You don't want it to scale linearly or it's not necessarily worth it for the client, right? And then obviously you need to, like, again, it just goes back to the teaching role. We're just teachers at the end of the day. All your clients are in a lecture hall and you're up at the front teaching them. Like that's how you need to like position this and rewire your brain to think. So you need to understand how AI can position them among their competitors. Explain the technology in the simplest language possible. Don't use words like large language model, neural network, natural language processing. They just need to understand the basics. They don't necessarily need to know how the car runs. They just need to know that they can get in and be confident that it can drive them somewhere. Yeah, but essentially just the custom solutions, it can't be copy and paste, right? So that is essentially with this Promise the Moon, you need to make sure that it's not essentially this copy and paste solution where they'll be where they will be underserviced and they will be, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like not excited about the product, right? You need to make sure that it's custom tailored to their business and it fits their needs and works with their current softwares and processes that they're implementing. Now, this is extremely important, like very, very important. And then, of course, the onboarding, how can they feel successful? Needs and pains. What does the customer want to achieve, right? They need to trust that it will save them time. And again, this is just so paramount. Don't handhold, just set the bar low. Not too low, but set the bar at a reasonable point. And then transparency and conversation to mitigate pain. This might be the most important out of all of them, actually. So pain for the client comes when they've invested in you and you aren't delivering, because then they're just back to square one, but they're out $1,000, $2,000, right? And that's how agencies get a bad reputation in the space. Now, you need to be so transparent with your services and your KPI related talk, right? So you need to talk about KPIs, key performance indicators within the business to ultimately achieve this quantification of the word satisfaction. This is how we solve this with KPI related talk. Now you need to talk within KPIs because you're speaking the business owner's language at that point, right? So you need to talk, like perhaps one of them is like cost to acquire a new client, right? And then when we quantify things like that and actually talk about them and use that as one of the metrics that we're going to measure, then the satisfaction becomes a little easier to wrap their head around, because then they have a clear goal and a definition in their head of like what satisfaction looks like within this process. So you need to set metrics and use data to quantify satisfaction. If you're offering this, don't pay until you're satisfied, you are still using metrics. It's not just this weird word that's up in the clouds that like no one knows what it means, right? You're using key data and metrics to make sure that the business owner is aware of like what our targets are. So every month, what did we do here? What did we do here? constantly go back to the data and rethink, right? Now, I put a little high value ticket here. This was what I was saying before with the KPI based communication. It's the absolute cornerstone of success for this offer in this model, right? You have to be so on it, and you have to talk with them for like sometimes upwards of 30 minutes just about certain KPI goals, go back and forth and come to an agreement on like what that looks like and what we're going after with those goals, right? So that's just huge. Like, don't pay until you are satisfied, right? So this, I just like totally threw together. I think like the other board I showed would probably all I needed in this video. It's already too long, 16 minutes. But like, yeah, we'll just keep going, I guess. So, I mean, obviously this is the start, meaning right when you reach out, right? This is like, you get a new lead on your spreadsheet. You're about to send an email or about to call, reach out, cold lead, set the stage, catch attention. Now, this is something that Charlie Morgan talked about in one of his videos, I think pretty recently, a couple months ago, the magenta man theory. Now, this is where essentially there's a sea of like red, right? Meaning like a saturated niche. So if you're in like gyms, selling services to gym owners, right? And there's a million other people doing it and they're all offering the same thing. And we're all watching the same YouTube videos on like how to cold call and how to do this. Then oftentimes those processes spread through like a plague with all the agency owners. And then they all start doing it. And then it just crumbles the whole system, right? Because no one's unique. So you don't have, in a sea of red, you don't have to be blue. You just have to be magenta. You just have to be slightly different than everyone else, whether that be like the tiniest nuance change in your offer or in your service delivery, or you set different KPIs, right? You measure for different results and you guide your clients into like a different direction that other people are like funneling them into, right? Like even that could be a slight different. So you have to figure out like, how do you be magenta in your field if you think it is saturated? But I think that that can be beneficial even if you are in kind of like a blue ocean, right? So cold to warm, transition, whatever, onboarding, set expectations, clear KPIs, massive, huge. Put a little star here, a little fancy star. Your KPI set goals are everything for this to work. Just remember that always. That's so massive. I can also make a KPI checklist and onboarding sheet. If people want that, just let me know. But I can share the one that my agency uses as well. Clear tracking and metrics to use as guidelines. I literally just got this from GPT. I threw in a prompt. I should have included the prompt. My apologies. Transparency, regular communication, right? Education and training. Maybe offer weekly seminars to your clients to increase their overall satisfaction. That's another point I haven't brought up. The satisfaction doesn't necessarily, like it all has to link to your KPIs because otherwise the business isn't generating revenue and you aren't doing your job, right? They aren't saving money or time. But offer like weekly like seminars, weekly masterminds, classes, right? For all the business owners to jump into. And then that's another way that even though it's not necessarily like making them more money and they aren't saving time, but it's a way that provides value to them and can overall increase satisfaction, right? So even if you aren't necessarily providing exceptional results, you're just providing average results, but you have these like classes and seminars and trainings for all of your clients to attend, they're almost like getting a free subscription, depending on how good your classes are, out of this partnership, right? So you have to think about little add-ons, little things that can be tacked on. And then, okay, where are we at here? Yeah, education and training. I put it here just because when I was making this, I was like, damn, that is important. So that's huge for sure. And then overall, just use feedback forms, man. Like, what are you doing? Just send feedback forms. Ask for feedback. Like, nobody's as good as they think they are. Like, you have so much to learn still. Same with me. I'm at like 0.00001% of my journey. If we're talking about 100 being like a complete master, I'm like one, like just nothing. I haven't even started yet. So you need feedback and tangible data to measure, to make improvements on your services, right? And you just have to listen. At the end of the day, this is huge. Like, your clients will tell you everything that's wrong. And with that information, you can figure out how to make it all right and make tons of money doing it. Now, that's it, man. That's it. Just a quick presentation. I'm pretty sure when I watch this back, it will be as all over the place and scrappy as I thought it went in my head. But hey, here it is. I'll put it in the description of the video. I hope it provides a little bit of help to people out there. And this is just another angle, right? This is how you set yourself apart. This is just a slightly unique offer that's different than like a pay per lead, right? So it sounds cool. I've seen it attract clients. We've gotten some pretty good results with it, and it seems to be working. So if somebody else uses it and signs some clients with it, let me know. I'd love to hear. That would make me super happy. Okay, I'll make a video soon in a couple days on another hopefully interesting topic. Okay, cheers, guys. Take care.